All right, so we've got a stack of info here on Laurel Springs School.
What we're really after is what makes Laurel Springs different, what makes
Hmm.
it stand out.
And, one of the first things that jumped out at me, looking at their school profile, they were founded in 1991.
1991.
1991, not a typo, which means they were doing online education when online education practically didn't exist.
Most schools weren't even thinking about computers in the classroom that way back then.
No kidding. And it's not like they're a small operation now either. Over 6,200 graduates.
That's a lot of alumni for an online school. Speaks to their longevity for sure.
And their class of 2024, 80% went on to college, with over $128 million in scholarships.
Okay, so they're not just graduating students, they're graduating students who are prepared for what comes next. It really debunks that myth that online school limits your options.
So let's dig into their why choose Laurel Springs materials a little bit. One phrase kept popping up: student-centered learning.
Everybody claims to be student-centered these days, but what does it actually mean in practice?
Well, they talk a lot about honoring each student's unique needs, really tailoring the educational experience.
That's a big departure from the traditional model where it's like, here's the curriculum, everybody learn at the same pace. This sounds much more, I don't know, flexible maybe.
It does, doesn't it? And it makes me think about how we've talked about the importance of really understanding something, not just memorizing it. This seems to align with that.
It does. And honestly, that's refreshing to see. To see a school emphasizing individual needs, I think that's something worth paying attention to.
And speaking of things that are refreshing to see, I was looking through their materials on community, and they have over 30 clubs.
30 clubs
And
for an
it's-
online school.
Yeah, and at first I thought, okay, how active can online clubs really be? But they've got student-led podcasts, they've got virtual art galleries, even a debate team that competes nationally. So they're not messing around.
You always hear about that concern with online learning that it's isolating, but this seems like they're actively trying to create those connections,
Yeah.
even if the kids can't physically be in the same room. And it's not all online either.
Right. They do virtual field trips, which is kind of cool, exploring the Great Barrier Reef from your living room.
Why not?
But they also do in-person field trips. They encourage families to meet up locally.
So it's the best of both worlds, really. You're connecting with people online who share your interests, but you're also getting those real-world interactions.
And they have their own private social network just for Laurel Springs students and families.
Oh, really? Like a digital commons, but specifically for them?
Yeah, exactly. It's called LSS Connect.
See, that kind of thing, to me, that signals that they're really thinking about how to use technology in a way that enhances the experience. It's not just about delivering the content online. It's about using the technology to build a real community, which I think is pretty cool.
It is cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk a bit about their actual academic structure. One thing that I kept seeing in the handbook was mastery-based learning.
So it's a different way of thinking about how students progress through the material. It's less about seat time, like, did you sit in the chair for this many hours? And it's more about, do you actually understand the concept? Instead of moving everybody along at the same pace, students in a mastery-based system, they really focus on demonstrating that they get it before they move on.
So it's much more personalized.
And it sounds like their assessments are designed with that in mind, too.
Yeah, they're performance series assessments, right?
Yeah.
They're supposed to be adaptive,
Which means,
which means they adjust to the student's level. So if a student's really mastering the material, they'll get more challenging questions. And if they're struggling, they'll get more support.
so it's less about labeling them and more about meeting them where they are.
Exactly. It's about individual growth, not just comparing everyone to some standardized benchmark. And speaking of individual growth, it seems like Laurel Springs is big on parental involvement.
Huge. They actually call parents academic coaches, which I kind of love.
It's a very active role for parents, it seems.
It is. But I think it makes sense, especially in an online environment, because online learning offers flexibility, but it also requires self-motivation.
And they have resources for parents, like their daily help room, LSS Live. It's staffed by teachers until 11 p.m. Eastern.
11 p.m.
Wow.
Talk about support.
That's incredible. They're really going above and beyond to make sure that students and families have what they need when they need it.
And on top of all that, they have this whole other level, the academy.
Okay, so this is Laurel Springs, but even more so.
Yes, it's like Laurel Springs leveled up. Advanced pathways for students who are ready to take it to the next level.
Tell me more about this academy.
Well, they have a Distinguished Scholars Program.
For students who are really looking for that extra academic challenge, and they have dual enrollment, starting in ninth grade.
So you could start racking up college credits that early.
And it's not just about, getting ahead on college. It's about giving students options.
Finding the path that works for them.
And they have this program, Language Bird, where students can get live language instruction.
Live instruction, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's designed to work around their schedules. So if they've got sports or music lessons, they can make it work.
They really get that these students have lives.
And then there's the Minerva Baccalaureate, which is a whole other thing.
What is that?
Okay, so it's this 4-year program, and students can earn 32 college credits while they're still in high school.
32? That's like a year of college.
Right. And it's not just about the credits. It's about how they're learning. They're connecting different subjects, working on critical thinking, problem solving.
So it's really preparing them for everything, not just college.
It's about, knowing how to think and solve problems.
Those are the skills that employers are clamoring for these days. That ability to think critically, to be adaptable, to solve problems creatively.
Thinking about everything we've talked about today, about Laurel Springs, it really seems like they're doing something different. It's not just about taking traditional school and sticking it online.
Yeah.
They're really rethinking the whole thing.
They're innovating.
Yeah.
And they're really thinking about the individual needs of students and families.
Online learning, it's not going away, right?
No, it's only going to become more prevalent.
So how can schools create these kinds of engaging, supportive, individualized learning experiences in that world?
For you listening, what parts of Laurel Springs really stuck out to you? What sparked your curiosity? Because ultimately, the best education is the one that fits you.